Looking for a compact SUV and wondering if it's time for an electric car? Well, this is the Kia EV5, essentially an equivalent of the popular Sportage. I've driven it about 1,500 kilometers on the highway and in the city through freezing winter and in the spring. Join me for a test drive to see what's what.
The Kia EV5 is not only a more or less electric equivalent of the popular Sportage, but also a competitor to the likes of the Nissan Ariya and Volkswagen ID.4. These two electric crossovers have similar dimensions and offer similar performance, while the EV5, measuring 461 cm long, 187.5 cm wide, and 168 cm tall, is the longest, widest, and tallest. The Nissan Ariya has the longest wheelbase, measuring 277.5 cm, while the Kia's is just 275 cm. And that's also less than in the Volkswagen.
Kia's boxy shape is consistent with the Korean brand's current design language. Although I've noticed it's not to everyone's taste, I like it, mostly because the retractable door handles bother me. Am I bothered? Yes, I am. I like that Kia has included a frunk. It's small at only 44 liters, but it's big enough for charging cables. People often ask me, why do you need a charging cable when you can just charge the car at home? And anyway, every charger has a cable, right? Bitch, please.
Well, we don't always charge our cars at home, and not every charger has a cable. Sometimes in the city there's an opportunity to charge for a couple of hours, for example while visiting a mall, or when we're on the road and we want to charge overnight at a hotel. Meanwhile, AC charging stations often only have a socket where you plug in your own cable. And to prevent the cable from taking up valuable boot space, it's nice to have a frunk. Just pop the cable in there along with some work gloves to keep your hands clean. Bravo, Kia!
And the actual boot volume should be 566 liters. It should, but remember that VDA measurements are to the window line, not to the cargo cover. That's one thing. And two, here we have adjustable backrest angle. So when the backrest angle is adjusted to 90 degrees, probably nobody's going to sit in the back.
In any case, we have about 98 centimeters between the wheel arches, about 90 centimeters depth by the floor from the sill to the rear seats, and the height to the cargo cover is about 50 centimeters with the false floor in its lower position, plus another 5 centimeters or so with the false floor completely removed. There is also a small storage compartment just behind the boot sill. With the backrest tilted, the boot space up to the cargo cover is optimistically high 400-something liters. On the plus side, I like the movable anchor points that can be used as shopping bag hooks, and that's probably what they're good for. I wouldn't rely on them to secure anything more substantial. Then there is a 230-volt outlet. The cargo cover can be stowed under the floor. However, I don't like the trim around the rear seats. This is a result of certain design decisions. To achieve a flat load space with the floor in its upper position, Kia had to implement seats with not just folding backrests but also movable cushions. This causes the entire seat to slide forward slightly, leaving all the wiring visible underneath.
It's rather comfortable in the rear. The side seats are heated, at least I hope they are, because otherwise I may have peed myself. Anyway, the floor is flat, there are air vents and third zone climate control.
There's also a drawer underneath the center console. I don't know if it's really necessary, but that's what we get. USB-C ports are on the sides of the front seat backrests. It's convenient should the people traveling in the front also want to use them. The backrest split 60-40, there is a pass-through to the boot behind the armrest. Isofix anchor points are only on the two side rear seats. The door pockets are tight. Doors cover the sills.
The Kia EV5 has a user interface similar to that in the larger EV9 and the smaller EV3. This means there's this wide display running across the cockpit, and it's divided into three sections: the driver's display, the AC panel, and the infotainment system. Then there are several physical buttons on the steering wheel and here down below the air vents, and just below the display are these touch buttons, touch sensitive buttons, which are integrated in the dashboard. And whenever I rest my fingers down here to tap something on the screen, I tend to press them by mistake, and just not the best idea, but it's not a deal breaker.
The center console isn't attached to the dashboard. Like in the previously mentioned Kia models, there is a practical shelf near the floor where you can place your glasses, keys, or even a small bag. The console features cup holders that could accommodate a thermos, as well as several physical buttons, including access to the 360-degree camera, a fingerprint reader for logging into your driver profile, and then there's the wireless charger, which, as in most Kia models, doesn't work, so you have to use a USB cable. Fortunately, there are also USB-C ports in the front. There's a medium-sized storage compartment under the armrest. The glove box is also average size. And Kia continues to design tight door bins. Instead of bucket holders on the center console, I'd prefer larger door bins. Seat memory buttons and controls for seat and steering wheel heating are on the doors.
Since it's 2026, I start my test drive by turning off the beepers. I remember 2 years ago, Kia press office included a laminated instruction with the EV9 explaining how to turn the annoying systems off. We can now long press the mute button on the steering wheel to disable the speed limit warning. Unfortunately, Kia, and Hyundai as well, don't allow you to disable the audible notification of speed limit changes. Perhaps in other countries, speed limits don't change as frequently as in Poland, but here the constant beeping is driving me crazy because we can't just have 50 kilometers per hour everywhere. It's 50, 40, 60, 70, 50, 60, 40, 50, etc. Anyway, that's before the system detects the wrong speed limit, say on a ramp, which happens quite often on motorways. And then there is the drive attention monitor. It reacts even when I look too long in the side mirror before changing the lane. The system also sometimes goes off when I glance at the instrument cluster to see why the car is beeping at me this time. So it's best to go into the driver assistance system settings every time you start the car and completely disable traffic sign recognition and driver attention monitor. I'm surprised Hyundai and Kia haven't fixed this in the past 2 years. I mean, please do something about it. I can't recommend your cars to anyone these days because of the annoying implementation of the mandatory safety features, no matter how good the cars otherwise are. Once Kia gets the beeping issues under control, the EV5 is a decent car. The adaptive cruise control with lane keeping assist works well. The suspension is comfortable. The sound insulation is more than adequate. The seats are comfortable. Visibility is good. I could daily this around town. It sounds like a perfect family hauler. Maybe I could even sometimes take it somewhere further, but not too far. I'll explain in a moment.
The Kia EV5 is currently only available with an 81.4 kWh battery. That's the so-called long-range model with a range of up to 750 kilometers. In some markets, there is also a 64 kWh battery 400 km standard range model available. However, for now, this long-range version is the only one we have in Europe, It has 217 horsepower and 295 Nm of torque. The promised 0 to 100 km/h time is 8.4 seconds. I checked and achieved 8.1 seconds in sport mode and 8.2 seconds in normal mode. I should add this was measured at -2 degrees Celsius and with battery charge below 80%.
Okay, so what about the range? I first drove the EV5 in early February 2026 when we were experiencing sub-zero temperatures across Poland. This was just a short test drive. I'm a World Car Awards juror and I needed to get to know the EV5 before the next round of voting. I drove the EV5 for 600 kilometers in one day. It was -12 degrees Celsius. At 120 km/h, the car consumed over 30 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers. So with 80% charge, I had a range of up to 200 kilometers between fast chargers. I then booked the EV5 to film the full review in mid-April. This time I took it for a 700 kilometers road trip, but split in 2 days. The daytime temperature hovered around 10 degrees Celsius, not ideal, but at least not freezing. At 120 km/h with cruise control, consumption wouldn't drop below 25 kilowatt-hours, so in order to reach the fast charging station I planned, not using the OEM navigation, I engaged Eco Mode. In Eco Mode, consumption dropped to 24 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers, which gives us about 250 kilometers range between fast chargers. Tesla, this ain't.
Peak charging speed is 150 kilowatts, so prepare for at least half an hour to top up the charge from 10 to 80%. A bit longer if it's cold and the battery wasn't preconditioned. Preconditioning uses a lot of energy, so if you're hypermilling just to get to the next fast charger, you may want to skip this step. Preconditioning can be activated automatically when you're using OEM SatNav or manually when you're planning your own route.
So I wouldn't go on long road trips with the EV5 very often. There's only so much toilet breaks and eating junk food at services that one needs, not to mention the cost of fast charging. But for driving within the range of your home outlet, preferably powered by cheap solar energy, the EV5 is perfect.
Just don't count on Tesla economy around the city. I was seeing about 15 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers in dense traffic. However, when city streets open up or you are running errands and stopping frequently, energy consumption can approach 20 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers. The Kia EV5 has a standard 10.5 kilowatt onboard charger, so using a home wall box, you're charged in less than 8 hours. A 22 kilowatt onboard charger is an option in some markets. The car can tow trailers up to 1,200 kilograms, but for reasons I mentioned earlier, you're more likely to haul a trailer with DIY supplies from your nearby store than tow a boat across the country.
This EV5 is front-wheel drive, however, there is a 265 horsepower all-wheel drive version in some markets. Also, during the 2026 Brussels Motor Show, Kia showed the EV5 GT, not to be confused with GT Line. The GT also gets all-wheel drive, but that's to complement its on-road performance rather than for off-roading. The car I'm reviewing has less than 17 centimeters ground clearance, and I expect the GT to sit even closer to the ground.
Price of the Kia EV5 started at €45,990 for the Air trim. This test car is a front-wheel drive GT line with rather expensive iceberg green matte paint for almost €1,700. The price as tested is €53,680.
The Kia EV5 is a cool shopping trolley, especially if you have solar panels and take advantage of various city incentives for EVs, like using bus lanes, free parking or dedicated parking spaces. That's assuming you can deal with all the beepers, but maybe you like playing loud music or maybe your kids are louder than ADAS. However, if you're looking for a do-it-all compact crossover which will take you further than across Belgium without a charging brake, never mind those exotic trips across the continent, an EV may not be for you just yet, and not in the foreseeable future. And what do you think about the Kia EV5? Let me know in the comment section below.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.